Is anyone concerned about the buildup of Russian forces in Cuba for the so called war games? Seems to me that the Biden White House could care less. We've seen for the last several days warships, submarines, destroyers arriving in Cuba for, again, the war games. And this comes after that ridiculous trial of Hunter Biden, where he was convicted. All the liberals will say, see, the Department of Justice convicted the president's son. A jury of his peers found him guilty. Well, a jury of farm animals would have found him guilty on those charges. The evidence was in black and white, as plain as day. Hunter Biden himself admitted he was not supposed to have the firearm, and he lied on the application. And again, that brings me to Cuba and Russia's buildup of forces. Joe Biden, as we know, has given Zelensky billions of American taxpayer dollars, billions worth of military equipment. As far as we know, there are no U.S. forces on the ground in Ukraine. That's what they say, anyways. But me, being who I am, I kind of doubt it, but I don't really know. But the deployment, as it says in this article, is likely a warning to Biden after he gave approval for Ukrainian forces to strike some targets within Russia using U.S. weaponry. Intelligence reports say Putin, who now has come out and said, and I believe this is the first time ever, as far as I know, Putin has said the United States is an enemy of Russia. And he has said this because Biden's White House and other NATO allies continue to support a non-NATO country for whatever reasons they believe that they should help Zelensky. And yes, I know, hundreds, if not thousands, of innocent Ukrainian people have been killed in this ridiculous war, and that's wrong. But why isn't the Biden White House concerned about this military buildup in Cuba? Vladimir Putin is a dictator. He's a warmonger. He's evil. And he now can strike the United States if he chooses to. It's right off of Miami, right off the coast of Florida. But again, you hear nothing coming from the White House. We've seen in the past, China has bought up millions of acres of land all over the United States, all around military installations, where top secret military weapons are being made, intelligence is being gathered, and what have you. So China basically knows everything the U.S. military is doing. We all remember the spy balloon. It was up in the sky for God knows how long until Biden decided we got to shoot it down because now the people can see it. And now we have Putin in in Cuba, very close to the United States, with not just one ship, not just one submarine, but it's an entire battle group, destroyers, aircraft carrier, nuclear submarines, right off the coast of Florida. I wonder if Biden, being in his mental state, even knows that this is happening. Well, Putin wants to be close to the homeland at this time when the Russia-Ukraine crisis is on a highly escalatory trajectory. Given Biden's authorization to Ukraine, if something goes wrong and Ukraine strikes critical targets in Russia close to major cities, the Russian military can enable the Cubans to strike targets inside the U.S. or strike U.S. interest. 3 Russian warships arrived in Cuba's Havana Bay on Wednesday, greeted by a 21 cannon salute. So Cuba's right on board with this, of course, because Cuba has always been a dictator-run country. I'm concerned. I'm concerned for the safety of not only the people who live in Florida, so close to Cuba, but people in the entire United States. Because this is something that the Biden White House and the United States military should be taking very seriously. They keep talking about threats are credible. We should be on high alert. The FBI director gave testimony in Congress that this is not a time to step back and relax. Credible threats are being made against the United States. But once again, we see the Biden White House and the commander in chief, or as I like to call him, the gaslighter in chief, holding pride parties at the White House, going on media tours, and he recently gave a speech about gun control after Hunter was convicted. And he said, why do Americans need guns? Why do they need rifles? We have F-15 fighters. They can't touch us with their guns and rifles. Something to that effect. Basically, what Biden said, I believe, was he would strike the American people with F-15s if they were to revolt, if you will, with their firearms. This is the President of the United States. This is the man that the Democrats are trusting to run again, to be reelected in November, and they want him to have another 4 years as the president. Our country, I don't know how many times I've said it, and other shows have said it, our country is in the toilet. People are hurting. People are broke. And now people are getting scared. With the powerful militaries such as Russia so close to home, and powerful countries like China buying up all the acreage around our military bases. And the Biden White House has done nothing. Zero. They've said nothing. They continue to stay quiet. And as far as I'm concerned, they really don't care. I don't believe Biden even knows it's happening because who's ever feeding him his information doesn't want him to know. But the American people aren't blind. We see what's happening to our country, and we see the dangers that we face with this president. He is a laughingstock around the world. He has weakened our military. He has done nothing to protect the interests of the United States. He has done everything to support a non-NATO ally for reasons that I've spoke of in the past, but I'm not going to get into that, but it's not necessary. He continues to funnel billions of dollars to Ukraine. It was just the other day or late last week, he's talking about giving Zelensky a $50 billion loan. A loan. What about the 100+ billion you've already sent there? That was a gift, and now all of a sudden you're going to loan him another $50 billion. This is what kind of rough shape we're in. People should be concerned that something bad could happen in this country at any time with Russia, with China, or God knows who else. The hundreds of thousands of people who have come into this country illegally, I'm sure there's plenty of terrorists, plenty of hardcore, dangerous gang members, drug traffickers, human traffickers, and you name it. And the Biden White House just goes on about their nonsense, never talks about it, never wants to do anything about it. They just keep pushing forward with this fraud campaign because they believe people think Biden is squared away. Biden is cognizant of what's going on, and Biden is doing a good job. Biden has not only failed the American people, but he's failed the world. The United States was always looked at as the country to go to talk with, to get help from, advice, ideas, you name it. The United States was the power. With this man in the White House, we are at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to world affairs, when it comes to security concerns. Every member of Biden's cabinet has failed the American people. Joe Biden is their leader. He needs to go, and something needs to change. I have children. You have children. Our kids have to grow up in this mess, and they have to deal with the failures of the Democrat Party. So, again, for some reason, the Democrats think that they are the saviors. They can pull us out of anything, which we all know they can't. Pay attention. I always say this, pay attention. Read the news, any news media outlet. Although I don't know if the mainstream will talk about Putin in Russia having all his power in Cuba right now. But something is happening. I can feel it. You can just sense it. The more Biden opens his mouth, the worse our country looks. And the more that these dictators like China and Russia see us as weak, and they think now's the time. These people will never know what hit them. Wake up, America. Joe Biden has failed us. He's failed the world. He needs to be defeated in November because he cannot continue on his reign of destruction.